Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this February meeting of the Quorum Court to order and welcome everyone in attendance. Before we start our business, I would like to do a small presentation. On Monday, February the 8th, I was honored to sign a proclamation designating Washington County as a Purple Heart County. Marion County, Faulkner County, Pulaski County are the only other Arkansas counties to currently hold this designation. There are currently 15 states and 1,165 cities and counties nationwide that have the Purple Heart designee. The plaque that the county received from the Military Order of the Purple Heart Department of Arkansas, along with the proclamation, will be displayed on the 5th floor of the courthouse. Signs will eventually be erected on the state highway at each county line coming into Washington County. The Purple Heart flag that is now on display behind us was also presented to me, and I feel very honored that we've had this opportunity, and I'd like to give everyone a round of applause on this. Thank you very much. The next thing we have is the prayer and the pledge, and it's going to be handled by Mr. Robert Dennis. J.P. Dennis.
Ask that you hear our prayers and pray that you just give us the wisdom that we need and help us to answer difficult questions. Pray that you would help our county to do extremely well this year on expenses, hold them down, and be able to give the employees a raise. Pray that you would just provide this. Pray that you would just watch and care over us, forgive us of our sins. These things we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, J.P. Dennis. Carly, would you please call the roll?
Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke. Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom. Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joe Maxwell. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond. Bill Ussery.
Quorum present. The next thing you have before you is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. Approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes from the Quorum Court meetings in October. You have several. The minutes from the Quorum Court meeting in October, the 13th, 15th, 19th, 20th, and 26th have all been distributed. Are there any corrections to be made? Yes, you're recognized, J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I apologize. I just simply have not had time to read through 4 sets of minutes today, and I would like to abstain on the approval because I'm uncomfortable voting to approve something I haven't read.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes, all of them? Do I have a motion? And do I have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against, same sign. Thank you. Next thing we have is our... I'm sorry.
We need to let J.P. Madison register her present or abstention. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say it, though, on the vote.
She said that she hadn't had time to read them, and she was uncomfortable to vote without it. Okay. Thank you. The next thing we have is the treasurer's report. Well, you're better looking than Bobby.
Thank you, Judge. Bobby could not make it this evening. He is at a meeting in Conway with the Treasurers Association. So tonight I will be presenting the report. I'm Lindsay Young. I am his chief deputy. All right. If you will, please turn to 6-1. For general, the beginning balance was $12.8 million. The expenditures were $2.5 million, leaving us with an ending balance for January of $11.4 million. For road department, the beginning balance was $2.3 million. The expenditures were $1.1 million, and the ending balance for January was $1.8 million. For jail, the beginning balance was $1 million. The expenditures were $1.4 million, and the ending balance for January was $760,000. Towards the bottom, the subtotal, $24.2 million was the beginning balance. The expenditures were $6.2 million, and the ending balance was $22.2 million. Moving on to 6.2. The Washington County 1% sales tax. We received $550,000 in January, which is 5% greater than January of last year. And Bobby has noted that this is the best January numbers we've had since 2008. Okay, 6.3, jail quarter-cent sales tax. We received $748,000 in January, 5% over, well, 5.6% over from January of last year. And Bobby also noted that this is the best January showing that the quarter-cent jail sales tax has since the beginning of 2003. Moving on to 6.4. The road half-cent sales tax, we received $112,000 in January, which is 1.20% over of January of 2015. Okay. On 6.5, Nelson Driver's insurance report. Our beginning balance was $1.3 million, and our ending balance was $1.4 million. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Lindsay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, guys.
Next thing we have is our comptroller's report. Ms. Bollinger.
Okay, on the comptroller's report on 7.1, we have the unappropriated reserves as of January of this year, which is right where we knew it would be after we did the budget. And then 7.2 is the revenue and expenditure summary, and it shows all the different categories of what we do and how we end up with unappropriated reserves balance, and that will be in your right-hand column. So you can see all the actual revenues that came in and all the actual expenditures in their respective columns. And on 7.3, it's a breakdown of that. If you notice that the percent used is 17 on that report. If you'll look back on 7.2, it'll say 8%. One of them shows with the encumbrances and one without the encumbrances. And so you'll see a difference there. And tonight you will notice that we had some ordinances coming through that are for 2015, and we have gone ahead and we've done the carryover this month, which normally we don't do until March, sometimes till May, but we've had a pretty good January, so we're able to get some stuff done, and we believe this is what the actual carryovers will be. It is right now. Once we get everything posted and make sure, we may have a correction in March, but this should be the final.
Any questions for Cheryl?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Rick.
One of the ordinances has a total, and the other doesn't have a total. We get over to the 11.1 carryover. Do we have a total for that without having to add it up?
Probably not, because it would be by individual funds.
I understand. I was just wanting to weigh that against what we have in the 10.1.
That's actually per line item, and it's for various things. So you're actually would do that, but on the carryovers,
I understand what you mean. I was just curious, when we're looking at the total amount on 10.1, at over $1 million.
I'll go add those up and bring it back to you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. The next thing we have before us is number 8. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zager, would you please read 8.1?
A resolution authorizing the county judge to apply for an Arkansas Supreme Court Improvement Program grant on behalf of Circuit Court 3 Juvenile Division. Whereas the Quorum Court has determined that the Circuit Court 3 Juvenile Division meets eligibility requirements necessary to apply for an Arkansas Supreme Court Improvement Program grant, and whereas Circuit Court 3 Juvenile Division has presented the need for diversion services, and whereas said grant is in the amount of $2,500, said grant is for the amount of $2,400. Let me try that again. Whereas said grant is for the amount of $2,500 and requires no match by the county, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, it hereby authorizes and approves the submission of a grant application as stated above.
Thank you, Mr. Zega. Renee, we hadn't had a chance to visit, so I don't know how we're going to spend this money, so come on. What are we going to spend it on?
This is a small grant. It's $2,500. It's to be used by juvenile court for their diversion programs. So it will be used for the families in needs of services and other diversion programs that they have for the kids.
Thank you for finding this grant for us. I move to pass 8.1.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? With no comment, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Sorry, Judge, I just distracted.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd, Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joe Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman, Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
This resolution is adopted. Number 9, J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, would you please read our 9.1?
A resolution authorizing the Washington County Judge to submit a grant request to the Arkansas Rural Development Commission on behalf of the Evansville community. Whereas the Washington County Quorum Court has determined that the Evansville community meets eligibility requirements necessary to apply for a grant under the Arkansas Rural Community Grant Program, and whereas the Evansville community has presented plans to restore the flooring in the Evansville Community Building, and whereas the Quorum Court of Washington County recognizes the need for the project, concurs in its importance, and supports the Evansville community in its efforts to proceed with the same, and whereas the Evansville community has furnished proof that they have raised $4,870 through community cash and or in-kind donations to be applied to the project as a local match, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, the State of Arkansas. Article 1, that the County Judge of Washington County is hereby authorized to submit an application of formal request to the Arkansas Rural Development Commission for the purpose of securing state grant funds in the amount of $4,870 to aid and assist the Evansville community in executing the proposed project described herein. Article 2, that the County Judge of Washington County is further authorized to administer the grant funds for the same project.
Thank you, Attorney Zega. I'm glad to see Evansville follow with what Ray's Mill has done. This is Joel's district and my former district before we rezoned, and this will be really great. They've raised money, matching funds through projects and in-kind donations. It's a great project for them, and I'm proud to move 9.1 to be passed.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Okay, come on, Renee, you're recognized.
Just for all of you that don't know about Evansville, Evansville is a small community. This is about the only building in the community other than their post office. And I've had the great pleasure of working with them for several months for $4,870. But they have a wonderful breakfast on Friday morning, and I just wanted to let you all know. Friday morning breakfast, it's a donation breakfast. The whole community is there. It's amazing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Renee.
It is.
Any other comments? With no other comments, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison, Joel Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman, Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke.
This resolution is adopted. Renee, did you say Friday morning?
Yes, ma'am.
What time?
From 7 until the food's gone.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to number 10. J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zaga, would you please read 10.1?
An ordinance appropriating the total amount of $1,178,012 from various funds to personal services and transfers out line items for 2015. Article 1, there is hereby appropriated the total amount of $1,178,012 from unappropriated reserves to various personal services and transfers out budget line items as outlined in Attachment A and summarized by fund as follows for 2015. 1,000 general, $941,456, 2,000 road, $21,469, 3,006 recorder's costs, $98,113, 3,008 county library, $3,387, 3,017 jail operations and maintenance, $110,939, 3,020 emergency 911, $1,194, 3401 HIV clinic, $1,454 for a total appropriation of $1,178,012.
Thank you, Attorney Zaga. Cheryl, you want to expand upon what we're doing here?
I would love to. Thank you.
you.
So on pages 21 through 28, what that shows is the breakdown by position of the full-time salaries. Like generally, when you're doing line item appropriations, you're doing it per line item, but for that line item, you have to actually do it per position. Mm-hmm. And so no position can be spent more than what we is appropriated. So at the end of the year, we clean that up as we have done quarterly in the past. And then on page 29, that's a summary. If you'll look at that, because I had one of the JPs ask me not to present these first pages because it was too confusing, but by law we have to do that. So I did a summary page. So if you look at that, it'll show that, like on page 29, the first line on County General, it shows which department it was in and how much it affected that department. But that's the total of all the positions within those departments. And we went ahead and added, if you look at the last line under County General, went ahead and added the transfers out that we needed to do appropriations on. And yeah, I think there may have been, no, that was it. So, yeah, there it is. On recorder's cost, we had underestimated in the revenue projections what the recorder's cost would transfer to County General. So that $95,000 we had to add to that on that 306 down there line item or fund. So anyway, this cleans up 2015, we think. So once we get all these posted and go back and look at every statement and every line item again, we'll know for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing it early. Normally we were having to wait 2 more months,
It is
or at
nice
least
to
1
get
more
that
month
done.
to get it, know where we stand on,
Yeah,
with
it is.
our focus on revenue and budgeting this year. It's going to be pretty intense. So thank you for getting this early for us.
No problem.
I'll move to pass 10.1.
I have a motion and a second. J.B. Madison.
I'm puzzled by the size of the amount and the impact it's going to have on our reserves. It looks to me like we're moving over $1 million out of what we worked really hard to get north of $6 million.
Doesn't affect your reserves at all. Your reserves are based on this year's budget. This has nothing to do with this year's budget. This is money that's already spent. All you're doing is doing the appropriations.
Well, it says there is hereby appropriated the total amount of $1,178,012 from unappropriated reserves.
For 2015 unappropriated reserves. 2016 unappropriated reserves has nothing to do with the 2015 budget. What the 2016 unappropriated reserves is based on all new numbers. Once that year is gone, the unappropriated reserves is all based on new numbers. You've got new revenue projections. You've got new expenditures.
Forgive me if that doesn't make any sense, because I don't know how. I don't
If you'll
know
come
how.
by the office, I can explain it to you. But it's
Well, I want to understand it before I vote on it.
okay.
So.
Okay, you take to get your unappropriated reserves.
Mm-hmm.
You take your projected revenue and your projected budget appropriations. That has nothing to do with 2015. That's all for 2016. This is how much revenue we're going to have. This is what our expenditures are. It doesn't affect anything else. It doesn't affect your carryover because it's money that's already spent. So the money, like when, in this case, when Lindsay gives you the treasurer's report, that's the actual money we have. This is just numbers that we have to do to satisfy the auditors to say, yeah, we know we spent this money.
Well, then give me an example, like the line item that you referred to on page 29, the county judges, the first line, the $1,352. What is that?
Let me go back and look at what position that was. Oh, that's that Karen Beeks. You know, she's a problem child, and I'm pretty sure that was probably her longevity. I mean, I could go back and look for sure, make sure, but that's probably from her longevity.
I thought we had done an adjustment for
Well,
longevity
you
last
do.
year.
You put it in a different line item, though, so we have to put it in her position. You've got it you had it in the budget under longevity, but we actually went back and put it in her position because we don't know who's going. When a year and a half before, we don't know who's going to be here to get a longevity check. We don't even know a month before who's going to be here to get a longevity check, so we can't really predict that.
Okay, thank you.
Jeffrey Maxwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you just, for my education, and I'm sorry to waste everybody else's time on this, but could you just explain that $800,000 transfers out
The which one?
on page 29 at the bottom
Okay.
of that Fund 1,000, that County General 8888 transfers out of 800,000?
Yeah, that's the money you transfer to jail.
Okay. I didn't know, it showed County General, so I wasn't exactly sure
Yeah,
where
you
that
know,
was.
we do that on the unappropriated reserves report. You know, I always tell you when we transfer money, but we don't actually appropriate it till the end of the year because sometimes we do it. Sometimes, some years we've had more than one transfer, and so instead of just coming back and keep doing appropriations, we just do it at the end. But you have it always in your unappropriated reserves report if we move any money. It's on there.
Thank you.
J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I'm still struggling with the first set of questions. Are all of these salaries, non-contributory retirement, is it all some kind of salary adjustment that was made, whether it was for longevity or something else? Is that what all of this is?
It's all salary adjustments, but a lot of it will be like longevity checks, people moving from one position to another. Some departments have more of that than others, obviously. Jail and sheriff's office, where they have so many employees, you know, there's always people coming and going, and they're moving people, and so they may move into a position that's not, that the person before them, like when we did their salaries, was making one amount because they were newer. We put someone in there that's been here longer, they're going to make more. We have to make up that difference in these appropriations.
So all of this is money that's already been spent?
Yes.
Either because we got a more seasoned employee that deserved a higher pay or
Yeah.
longevity
I mean, we could
pay?
go through every one of them and look.
But it's in a way to adjust it because we couldn't anticipate
Right.
those kind of hires.
Right. When we appropriate by position, we do it a year and a half in advance with whatever that person in that position is making at that time.
Well, the fact that it says from unappropriated reserves is misleading then.
No, that's where it's coming from. The 2015 unappropriated reserves will go down by that amount.
So we had that much money set aside for these kinds of hiring issues?
We don't have any money set aside. Whatever Lindsay tells you what money we have, that's what money we have. It's all in one bank. Well, they may have it more in one bank, but it's all in one account in the general fund. So when she tells you we have whatever she said we had, that's what's in there. So this doesn't affect the money, like when they report the money part, it doesn't affect it at all. This is whatever she says we have is what we have.
You're talking about actual cash in the bank.
Cash
and
money.
this unappropriated reserves.
It's just a made-up number. It's not cash in the bank.
Okay, I guess my checkbook doesn't have a category like that. This is very confusing. Thank you, Madam Judge.
It is confusing.
Any other discussion? Public comment? Carly, would you call the roll?
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd. Yes. Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond. Bill Ussery. Daniel Walls. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke.
This ordinance is adopted. number 11. J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zago, would you please read 11.1?
I will, and before I begin, I wanted to bring your attention that on the fourth line in Article 1, County Clerk's Cost, there's a scrivener's error. It should read $8,018. So just so you all know that. An ordinance adjusting carryover revenues in various funds for 2016. Article 1, there are hereby reduced carryover revenues in various county funds as follows for 2016. Employee insurance carryover, $275,343. Collectors automation carryover, $20,502. Circuit court automation, $56,710. County clerk's costs carryover, $8,018. Boating safety carryover, $12,999. Emergency 911 carryover, $5,065. Juvenile court representation carryover, $32. Law library carryover, $1,054. Rural community grant carryover, $50,032. Environmental affairs grant carryover, $297. Animal shelter grant carryover, $22,759. Court costs and fines carryover, $23,572. Article 2, there are hereby recognized additional carryover revenues in the various county funds as follows for 2016. General carryover, $637,712. Flex funding carryover, $17,773. Let me read that again. Flex spending carryover, $17,373. Road carryover, $311,582. Treasurer's automation carryover, $186. Assessor Amendment 79 carryover, $8,883. Recorder's cost carryover, $18,962. County library carryover, $37,897. County clerk operating carryover, $514. Child support costs carryover, $13,792. Community facility equipment, communication facility equipment carryover, $89,300. Jail operations and maintenance carryover, $266,918. Adult drug court carryover, $20,420. Circuit court juvenile division carryover, $170. Circuit clerk commissioner fee carryover, $6,581. HIV clinic carryover, $91,143. Drug court program carryover, $1,942. JDC grant carryover, $122. DEM grant carryover, $729.
Thank you, Attorney Zagan. Cheryl, let's hear your take.
The totals that you had asked for the first group, which is where we're reducing the carryover,
Right.
the total for that was $479,383. And then for the lucky funds that got more money added to their carryover, his total was $1,523,375.
Thank you. I will move to pass 11.1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joe Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Essery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman, Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis, Lisa Eki,
Yes.
This ordinance is passed. 12.1. J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zaga, would you please read 12.1?
An ordinance making adjustments to 2016 grant budgets. Article 1, the general supplies line item in the Brentwood Community Grant budget of the Rural Community Grant Fund is hereby reduced by $32 for 2016. Article 2, the advertising publications line item in the BMT 0514EW budget of the Environmental Affairs Grant Fund is hereby reduced by $297 for 2016. Article 3, there is hereby recognized revenue in the amount of $22,759 in the transfer from general revenue line item in the Animal Shelter Grant Fund for 2016.
Thank you, Attorney Zaga. Renee, please. The first two items I understand. The second item, I'm trying to remember where our revenue on the animal shelter is going to come from, which grant that was.
The revenue on the animal shelters, actually, it's not a grant fund, it's donations that were previously being put in to the general fund for the animal shelter. And this year, we've put them in their own separate fund.
That's right.
And so we're recognizing those donations that came in late last year.
Right, so they'll be able to appropriate that as they need them through the year.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. I move to pass 12.1.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Karen, would you call the roll?
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joel Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman, Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes. This ordinance is adopted. 13.1. I'm sorry, Chicky Bowman.
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to know, is that the $22,759, is that the monies that were raised by that special event that the Animal League did to raise money, or what was that?
No.
You have any idea any idea about where all the money came from? That's a pretty good sized chunk of money.
Cheryl can give us maybe some information here.
Oh, okay.
No, it was donations made from various things. It wasn't part of the Animal League money. It was donations made directly to the county.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, J.P. Bowman. 13.1, J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, please read 13.1.
An ordinance recognizing additional revenues of $28,277 in the general fund and appropriating $33,289 from the general fund to the sheriff enforcement budget for 2016, Article 1. There is hereby recognized additional revenue of $28,277 in the insurance proceeds revenue line item of the general fund for 2016, Article 2. There is hereby appropriated the amount of $33,289 from the general fund to the vehicles line item of the sheriff enforcement budget for 2016.
Thank you, Attorney Zega. Basically, we had a total on a vehicle in the sheriff's department, and the insurance paid $28,277. A new one cost $33,289 for a cost of $5,012 is what we're appropriating. I move to pass 13.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Karen, call the roll, please.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom, Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joel Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman, Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes. Ordinance adopted. 14.1.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, please.
An ordinance suspending JSAT policies for certain personnel positions in the sheriff and jail budgets, appropriating $10,983 from the general fund to the sheriff enforcement budget, reducing line items in the sheriff jail budget by $13,047, and appropriating the amount of $11,609 from the jail fund to the sheriff jail budget for 2016, Article 1. All applicable JSAT policies to the personnel positions referenced herein by slot number are hereby suspended for the purpose of this ordinance. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the total amount of $10,938 from the general fund to the following line items in the sheriff enforcement budget 2016, salaries full-time, slot 04-00017, $8,955. Social Security matching, $685. Non-contributory retirement, $1,298 for a total appropriation of $10,938. Article 3, the following line items are hereby reduced by a total of $13,047 from the sheriff jail budget in the jail fund for 2016. Salaries full-time, slot 041817, $3,709. Salaries full-time, slot 041818, $6,972. Social Security matching, $817. Non-contributory retirement, $1,549 for a total reduction of $13,047. Article 4, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $11,609 from the jail fund to the following items the following line items in the sheriff jail budget for 2016. Salaries full-time, slot 0418119, $9,504. Social Security matching, $727. Non-contributory retirement, $1,378, for a total appropriation of $11,609.
Thank you, Attorney Zaga. As we discussed at the personnel meeting last week, this is something the sheriff was asked to do due to a retirement and some people moving up and into new positions. The net cost approximately $9,000 to do all these changes, and I'm sure it's going to affect some goodwill in the sheriff's department as far as people being able to advance, and I would move to pass 14.1.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I'd just like to get somebody to explain to me which JSAP policies are being suspended and what the particular reason is. It's been a long time since I was on that committee, and I
Judge,
remember
may I
it being
address?
fairly rigorous.
I'm going to recognize our attorney to
Thank
do
you.
this. Thank you.
You typically have to, it's not typical, part of the way you budget is when you create a position, you do it through the budget process. When you move money for the position, you do it during the budget process. And your JSAP policies, and I don't know, we did a lot with budget controls in the fall, and I don't remember, but they used to say, and I think they still do, that in order to change positions in this way, you have to suspend the JSAP policies in order to, when you do it within the budget year, like outside of the budget season, if that makes sense. So that's the reason for suspending JSAP policy.
Well, JSAP used to go through and analyze the positions and figure out how much of it was very mediocre, tedious, how much of it was stressful, and
that's still done. There's no.
And so there's some leftover pieces of that analysis still in these positions.
I can't speak to that level of technical detail, Justice Madison. What I know is the reason you would suspend this in a budget or an appropriation ordinance is because you were appropriating money in this particular ordinance that you did not appropriate in the 2016 budget cycle from September to December, and that's the reason you would suspend the JSAP. Part of it is how much money you assign to that particular position.
It is the goal here is to expedite as well. JSAP would slow it down.
I don't want to speak to that because I don't know the answer to that question exactly, although I see
But
Justice Bond.
Let me just get to the bottom line here. We're not truly violating any of the philosophies of JSAP then. I remember Wilson Kimbrough was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have an email from Lindsay.
I thought you were going to say from Wilson there. That was going to be a good trick.
If I might, Judge.
Yes, hang on just a minute. Let's recognize J.P. Pond.
Absolutely, Judge.
We maybe a way that we could say that you would understand is at JSAP, we're not capable of giving somebody, making some kind of change in some position or anything that would pertain to saying we're going to spend more money. We can make a recommendation, give somebody a promotion, start somebody out at a little higher salary or something like that, but we can only recommend it. Then it has to come to you, or we, the full quorum court. If we vote yes for this, then what we've done is provided for this position or some new position a certain amount of money, which in this case was how much money? Which one we're on?
$6,370. I mean, $6,730. Sorry.
$6,730. JSAP can't say, well, the county's going to spend $6,730 more than what we budgeted for. That's outside budget controls. But we here on the court can suspend the JSAP rule and spend that money.
Hang on now. I'm going to go ahead. Thank you, J.B. Pond. I'm going to go ahead and let the attorney here. He's got something from Lindsay. So.
I also remember this from the meeting, the committee meeting. Judge. We're talking about 3 people in the sheriff's office. The sheriff has moved, has done some transfers and senior people within the sheriff's office. And so the particular provision of JSAP that we would be suspending is Section H. The amount of promotional increase for employees promoted to an existing county position with a greater level of accountability and corresponding classification or grade must be to the minimum salary range of the position the employee is being promoted to, or up to halfway between the salary range and the midpoint, or up to a 5% increase above the employee's present salary. These promotional salary adjustments will be made at the discretion of the elected official. If the employee's current base salary exceeds the new position salary range midway point between the minimum and the midpoint, then the employee will receive a 5% increase on their current base salary. Any promotional increase that exceeds the above criteria requires the approval of Personnel Committee of the Quorum Court. Essentially, and I'm going to summarize the rest of this, there are two employees the sheriff has promoted. Kenny Yates, who's moving from sergeant to captain, and actually he's not promoting. Steve Whitmill is moving from he's staying as a captain, but he is moving up in his salary increase. He's moving up in his compensation. Kenny is going from he's moving from a salary of about $44,000 with the increase up to $52,728. That's $2,100 more than JSAP policy, as I just read, would allow. That's the reason for the exception. And the other, with Steve Whitmill, the increase in $60-some-odd $100 for him, you would also have to suspend JSAP policy to allow for that too. You're also taking, you also have a sheriff's deputy who is taking a voluntary demotion, and they're trying to soften the impact of that demotion, and suspending JSAP policy allows them to compensate her, but still not hurt her as much, while she still utilizing her to the extent the sheriff wants to. Sheriff, did I say all that fairly?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to be sure that we weren't starting to stray from JSEP's philosophies, and I understand, and I do appreciate you explaining it to me. Thank you.
I can't take credit for it, Justice Madison. I'm basically repeating what Lindsay gave to me in this email.
J.B. Patterson. Turn your mic on, if you will, Joe.
I was talking about this, and you used the amount of $6,730. That's on the next ordinance instead of this one.
Oh, you're right. I read 15.1.
Just for the record, so they can correct it. Thank you.
You're right. It's 14.1 for each position. There's one for $10,938, one for $13,047, and one for $11,609. I skipped ahead by one ordinance. Thank you, Justice Patterson.
And Article 3 is actually a reduction.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, do we all understand where we're coming from on this? Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second?
You did, Judge.
Discussion? Any further? Any public comment? Karen, would you call the roll?
Ann Harbison? Yes. Sharon Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom?
Yes.
Eva Madison?
Yes.
Sue Madison? Joel Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry?
Yes.
Joe Patterson?
Yes.
Butch Pond?
Yes.
Bill Ussery?
Yes.
Daniel Balls?
Yes.
Harvey Bowman?
Yes.
Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Robert Dennis? Lisa Ecke?
Ordinance passed. Let's go to 15.1. J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, would you please read 15.1?
An ordinance suspending JSAP policies to change the title of a heavy equipment operator position to a training officer, one-call officer in the road department budget, and appropriating the amount of $6,730 from the road fund to the road budget for 2016. Article 1, all applicable JSAP policies are hereby suspended, and the title of the personnel position of heavy equipment operator, grade 12, slot 0200233 in the road department budget of the road fund is hereby changed to training officer, one-call officer, grade 17 for 2016. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $6,730 from the road fund to the following line items in the road department budget for 2016. Salaries, full-time, slot 0200233, $5,509. Social Security matching, $422, non-contributory retirement, $799, for a total appropriation of $6,730.
Thank you, Attorney Zaga. This position upgrading is one that we really do need in our road department. It gets us into the position of a safety officer as a primary duty. He can continue, he or she can continue to run heavy equipment, and will also administer the one-call duties to satisfy the state requirements to actually precede our grading activity. I think it's a good move by the road department, and I move to pass 15.1.
I have a motion and a second. We have discussion. J.P. Lundstrom.
I'm very interested in enhancing our safety in the road department. I would personally like to see all of our supervisors, I don't know how many supervisors we have exactly, but I would like to see them all trained in safety. But I'm just not sure. Now, the other night, because I'm so interested in increasing and enhancing our safety procedures, that I was in favor of this, but the more thought I've given it, the less in favor of it I am at this point in time. I would like to have more information about it. I don't know exactly how much impact this one-call issue is going to have, although I do understand what they're talking about. So I think I would like to see some more thought given to this whole thing. It's basically a $6,700 a year raise to this individual, which I'm not sure I'm in favor of at this point in time. Thank you, Madam Judge.
J.P. Sue Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. At the Personnel Committee meeting, it became clear that the department had chosen someone to fill this position before the position had really been fully vetted. The duties weren't clearly defined. The salary was unknown, but yet people were expected to apply for this position. And I think the road department has needed a position like this, and I'm very happy to see them acknowledging that by moving forward. But I don't approve of the steps in which this happened. I mean, to create or enhance a position, but not say in what way it's enhanced, either by salary or by duties, and expect people to apply for it, just leads me to think that there were some reasonable people who probably didn't apply because of the very nature of the unknown entities at that time. And the fact that we were told that we've done it before this way doesn't really hold much water with me. I think it was a very inappropriate way to handle a very, very important new position with tremendous responsibility, and as it turns out, a decent raise. And I think there's a likelihood that qualified people either within or without the county may have been interested in that. And for that, I will say right now, I'm not going to vote for this because I think it needed to go through the process in a more proper way. Thank you, Madam Judge.
J.P. Dennis.
I first of all apologize because I didn't bring the letter. Did anyone else get the letter from a lady from Elkins? Okay. So when I read that, it brought up some concern in my heart, if you will. It didn't sound like that we might have done everything exactly the way we should have. And so I would move that we table this one until we can look at it just a little bit longer and where we can ask some questions and find out if it was done correctly. I'd hate to have it come back and bite us, if you would. I wouldn't want to get bit by this. I think it's, a good thing. I'm all for it, but I want to be sure that we did it correctly. And I'd like to hear from Lindsay, that it is done correctly. And I'd like to dot our I's and cross our T's and be sure that we're not going to do something wrong. And I'm just not sure right now. And so I'll vote. I move that we table it.
Judge, a motion to table is not debatable. May I and it's properly seconded, may I engage Justice Dennis in the call?
Yes, if you would, please. Thank you.
Justice Dennis, is it your intention to lay on the table indefinitely, in other words, to require it to come back, somebody to move it, or are you putting it on the table is it your intention to put it on the table to some definite point in the future?
To a committee meeting, the next committee meeting that would handle that?
But that's a slightly different motion.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not trying to nitpick you. I'm just, if you're putting it on the table, you do one of two things with it. You either put it on the table and you don't give it a bring back day, like say to the next regular quorum court meeting, for example.
I want to bring it back.
Or you lay it on the table and you say, I want to bring it off the table by a motion that's indefinite. In other words, it takes a motion to bring it back. And that's why I'm asking.
Well, I like that.
I understand. So it's an indefinite motion.
And you second it? Okay. Do you want to be recognized, J.P. Madison?
It's not discussable or debatable.
Okay, so.
You need to just vote.
Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Excuse me.
The motion is to table indefinitely agenda item 15, and it will require at some indefinite point to be brought back to consideration a motion to bring it off the table.
Everyone understand that?
Can I ask who seconded that? I did. You did, okay.
Okay, Karen, call the roll, please.
Ann Harbison?
No.
Sharon Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom?
Yes.
Eva Madison?
Yes.
Sue Madison?
Yes.
Joel Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry?
Yes.
Joe Patterson?
Yes.
Butch Pond?
No.
Bill Essery?
No.
Daniel Balls?
No.
Harvey Bowman?
Yes.
Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Robert Dennis?
Yes.
Lisa Ecke?
No.
Motion to table succeeds, Judge, and 15, I'm sorry. The motion to table succeeds and is passed, rather, and item 15 is tabled.
So now this is going to be looked at in the committee or brought,
Well-
how will it be handled? I need to know that.
It can happen in a variety of ways, Judge, and I'm happy to discuss that. It can come back to personnel. Conceivably, it can be brought into an agenda of personnel, or somebody could bring it, literally say, I want to put it on the agenda, and brought off the table at that point in time.
Okay, well, first, I think Joel may have had to hang on. No, J.P. Maxwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to let you know, I forwarded to Ms. Karen Beeks a second ago an email that Lindsay had answered a lot of questions that I had about this earlier. So to save her duplication of work and just let you know that information, I think, is coming shortly. She gave a very, I love Lindsay, she gave a very detailed, thorough, competent answer that will help with some of your questions on this. I know there are probably some new ones that have come up recently, but this will help with the basis of that. So if that'll give you a pause and make it easier on you.
J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Judge. I would like to go ahead and ask that it be I'll put it on the agenda for next time, because I think we need to not lose sight of this important position. I just think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I, too, received an email, and for those who may not have received it, J.P. Dennis mentioned a letter. I got an email. And this was from a citizen in the county.
It was an email.
Okay.
I couldn't read it like I promised because of technical problems.
It just came to me, so I couldn't tell if it went to anybody else. But I thought that the concern was something that had been discussed at our personnel meeting, that it seemed to me that she just picked up on it from reading the newspaper article. And I thought I would share her concern. It says, my concern would be that it would appear that a new position has been created without going through the proper steps. Going to the quorum court, develop the position, and then advertise and hire. It would appear that they would like to change a current position to encompass this new position and then give a raise. I am concerned that the road department is skirting the proper policies that are in place to protect all parties involved. Thank you for your time and consideration with this matter. And then I think some of us may have received, I've seen copies of it, of a letter from Mr. Braswell raising questions about the same thing. I'm still fully committed to this position being created in the road department. I think I have the same concern that I had at the personnel committee meeting, even though I didn't vote that night, that I'm not okay with giving a raise when somebody's already in the position. Even if we've done that before, I'm not sure that's a good practice. And we're hearing from people inside the county and outside the county that they don't like that either. So I think we need to go back and assess that very carefully and decide if that's really the way we want to do things. So I will ask that it be put on the agenda for the next quorum court meeting so that we don't lose sight of it. Thank you, Judge.
I'll second that motion.
She has a,
I don't think it needs to be in the form of a motion. I think any JP can add it to the agenda.
You've got it, Karen. Okay, thank you. Okay. So we are now going to move on to number 16.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, will you please read 16.1?
An ordinance recognizing additional revenues of $12,355 in the Rural Community Grant Fund and appropriating $12,355 from the Rural Community Grant Fund to the Wheeler Fire Department budget for 2016. Article 1, additional revenues in the amount of $12,355 are hereby recognized in the state grants revenue line item of the Rural Community Grant Fund for 2016. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $12,355 from the Rural Community Grant Fund to the Construction in Progress line item in the Wheeler Fire Department budget for 2016.
Thank you, Attorney Zega. This basically recognizes the revenue for the Wheeler Fire Department. I move to pass 16.1.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Discussion? Public comment? Would you call the roll, Karen?
Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joel Maxwell. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond. Bill Essery. Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke.
Ordinance been adopted. 17.1.
Thank you, Judge. Attorney Zega, please read 17.1.
An ordinance recognizing additional revenues of $1,375 in the JDC Grant Fund and appropriating $1,375 from the JDC Grant Fund to the JDC Hofnod budget for 2016. Article 1, there is hereby recognized additional revenue of $1,375 in the state grants revenue line item of the JDC Grant Fund for 2016. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $1,375 in the JDC Grant Fund to the small equipment line item of the JDC Hofnod budget for 2016.
Thank you, Attorney Zega. More money for hooked on fishing, not on drugs. I move to pass 17.1.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Public comment? Roll call.
Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joel Maxwell. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond. Bill Essery. Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke.
Thank you, J.P. Cochran. Appreciate your efforts on all the ordinances. We've had a lot of them
That's
tonight.
all right. Tried to move through them quickly.
It. The next thing we're going to have is county judge report, and I'm going to ask my two road superintendent and assistant superintendent. Hey, guys, you're on. Pull up another chair there, if you will, Brad. Charles, you're recognized.
Okay. I'm Charles, Washington County Road Department. And as of right now, I know we had some concern with the Ballard, the bridge weight limit being decreased. We've recognized the problem, and we've talked to the state, and once we repair the problem, that weight limit will go back up to its previous limits. Right now, we're patching asphalt since how the temperature's up, trying to get some of our paved roads back up in order. We're working toward getting all of our FEMA records and paperwork together for FEMA. We're working on getting our permits and things like that ready for some of our new construction projects up and coming.
Charles, turn the mic just slightly. That's okay. Thank you.
We're also working at, our regular grading duties, upgrading some of our drainage on our dirt roads. We've picked out a couple of roads that are needing some extra help and trying to put some extra efforts into them. We had a major failure with our shaker screen out at the Morrow Crusher. We've purchased a new shaker screen to install there. We've almost got it back up and running. The Dye Creek Bridge, we're working closely with our engineer and the state representative and FEMA on getting those costs, what it's going to cost us and what they're going to pay and everything, what we need to do with that particular bridge. And do you got anything else?
Brad, got anything?
No, ma'am.
I'll have any questions for these fellas?
Judge Sharon.
Okay, I'm Sharon.
What county road was that bridge that had that the weight limit was decreased?
As County Road 15, that's
Little
Road. That's over the Ballard Creek.
Do you anticipate when that weight limit will come back up?
Well, as soon as we can get to where we can get a basket crane or something underneath it and get our welders started on it, I'm going to say a couple months.
A couple of months?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was County Road 15?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I guess this bridge weight limit issue has made me realize that I don't fully understand what it means.
Okay.
So I'm just going to take this chance to let you explain it to me. If a bridge has, let's say, a 15-ton weight limit on it,
Yeah.
is that a guideline? Can somebody get a ticket if they go across with 16 tons? Or what does that really mean, and to whom does it apply?
It applies to everybody. There's going to be exceptions. That's going to be up to the trooper or whoever pulls you over, how much you're over exceeding that. There are exceptions to certain bridges. Say there's a bridge leading to your house, and that's the only way to get to your house. The weight limit's 9 tons. You're going to build your house, so they have exceptions for you to go over these bridges. But the weight limits vary. For this one instance, there's a slight problem with it. So the state has come out, they inspect them yearly. They came out, they found a problem. They don't think it'll hold what it was holding, possibly. So they're going to lower that limit until we can get it fixed back to where it was. So they fluctuate. They go up and down depending on the condition of the bridges.
I guess I've always thought it was a safety issue as well as a longevity of the bridge issue, that if you were routinely crossing a bridge with a higher weight limit, you could be threatening its long-term lifespan. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that? If we're crossing a bridge with a higher weight limit?
If you were higher than the limit on the bridge, say you crossed a bridge that had 12 ton and you were crossing it with 18 tons, and that was happening 3 times a week.
Sure.
Would that affect the life of the bridge?
It could.
As well as the integrity of the bridge?
It could, yes.
Okay. So really, the weight limits, people should pay attention when they cross the bridges and have some knowledge of if they're in a 12-ton truck and they've got 5 tons of gravel, they have to add those together.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So they're at 17 ton.
Okay. And that's the way the road department interprets those issues as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. I'm better educated. Thank you.
J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I wanted to ask a question. I think from our capital appropriation for this year that we authorized the purchase of some dump trucks.
Yes.
Can you give me an update on those?
As of right now, it's still out for bid. We're doing a bid opening. I think it's the second week in March.
Okay.
The 8th.
Okay.
Is it the 8th?
Have we purchased any vehicles?
This year, no.
Not this year. We did purchase a pickup to last the year. Last year, which was we had a vehicle that wasn't being used. We traded it for a vehicle that we could use.
Did we have to add money to that?
$6,000.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. And then I received a call from someone about, I'm hoping I have this right, Draper Road that's out 16 west of town. And the way it was explained to me, it's a dead-end road that's being widened. Can you describe for me what's happening on that county road?
It's not being widened more or less than making it where 2 people can cross, a school bus can get down it. And we're not widening, we're maintaining it. We're cleaning it up, making ditches, drainage better. That's what we were saying on our report. We're going around the county, making the drainage better where our roads do hold up. People are passable, not big old potholes in them. We're just trying to maintain our dirt roads.
Well, it was communicated to me that somebody's fence, because the work had gone into someone's property and their fence had fallen down. Is that possible?
This is possible, but the fence wasn't down. We have the road is between, I think it's like 22 feet that people are trying to get through this person's property and this person's property. And this one's had a fence there that's been there for 100 years, I would say. When you're trying to grade with a grader with a blade that's almost as wide as where you're trying to get down, you're going to have a little spillage over on it. The posts are rotten clean through. So it's not, we're going to work on the fence. We promised we'd put it back. There was an issue. You just, issues you have.
And then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
100% of that damage wasn't done from the improvements that we're doing right now. It was gradual over time, but once we started working on the roads, when that raised that.
They're afraid they're going to lose land.
Okay, and then I guess there was another question raised about whether maybe we were getting free dirt from somewhere, and it just sounded a little like Smokey Bear to me. So I was curious if there was any kind of the trading going on in that process.
There's not necessarily a trade going on, but there is an individual on that road that's providing material, and we are hauling it off his property to upgrade the road, yes,
okay.
Or to add material to the road.
And is he at the end of the road?
No, ma'am.
Halfway.
Halfway.
Maybe a little over halfway, actually.
Okay. Is he just giving us dirt?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you pulling off that piece of property?
What do you mean?
I mean, is the dirt coming from that piece of property or somewhere else?
That piece of property.
Okay.
From his property. It's actually on that road, but it's off of his property, and it's going to that road.
Well, the fear was that this is going to turn into a big red dirt pit. So,
yeah. And we've heard that same.
Courtney's saying no, but
yeah, and we heard that same concern, and he's not relayed any efforts to do that.
Okay. Would we have to go through? It seems like if we're doing excavation like we're doing, would we have to go through planning? No. Okay.
No. And he is actually excavating the material for us.
Oh.
I mean, he's using his machine and loading our trucks. We're just transporting it.
He's a
Good
nice fella.
citizen. Great, nice guy.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And we were going to try to widen that road, but we couldn't get the right of way. One of them was from the gentleman who was complaining about his fences, and that we couldn't get on the other side either. So we're going to fix his fence and do what we can, and then we'll be done on Grateful Road.
Yes.
J.P. Harbison.
On the weight limits on bridges in the county, at one time we had 42 impaired bridges, not counting, and so I was kind of wondering why we have this particular bridge that we're focusing on to get it fixed. Is it an area that has lots of traffic?
It's not necessarily that it has lots of traffic. It's just that they degraded the weight limit to such an extent that we feel like we need to repair it to get the weight limit back.
To get it back up.
9 tons is not very much.
But do you agree that we have approximately 42 bridges in the county that have weight limits on them?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Just
okay.
not
and this is why we need all the money we can get to stay in the road department so that these bridges can be repaired.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
J.P. Ecke.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I do have a question. When a citizen complains about his bridge, his fence, sorry, not his bridge, his fence, who goes out there and talks to him?
We do.
You do?
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes it's a supervisor on the road, and if the individual escalates to a certain degree, then we would come out and confront.
I guess that's what I'm asking is sometimes they're appeased, sometimes they're pacified, sometimes they're, screaming from the top of their heads. And I just wanted to know what your process was, who goes out there and tries to talk to them and reason with them and say, we're going to take care of you.
Obviously the supervisor on the road would make first contact, and if it needs to go further than that, then we would go out and talk to them. And that's what happened in this case.
And I apologize. I thought this case was the one you were referring to.
Okay. just, it was a fence, but thank you. Just wanted to know who does the damage control, I guess. Thanks.
J.P. Bowman.
Thank you, Judge. Guys, when y'all have a bridge that's downgraded with tonnage allowed across it, what kind of changes do you make? You just change the sign on the bridge, or do you put up any warnings about a reduction or anything?
If the state recommends us to lower that load rating, generally we will change the sign. Like on this particular road, it's relatively low traffic, so you're talking mostly local folks.
I guess I'm trying to think here in terms of, say, Tyson Foods truck driver going out there with a load of feed, and I'd dare say most of them don't ever pay any attention to those signs on the bridges.
Well, I would hope they would.
They need to.
Well, I just wondered if there would be any substantial change in the loads actually being hauled across the bridge as those tonnage limits went down.
I can't answer that.
Yeah, in matter, the sign is already changed now.
Yep.
But what are you asking that are you proposing that we should advertise somehow?
Charles, I don't know. This is the first time I've even thought about this whole process, but I know that if people have been accustomed to crossing a bridge with a given load for years, and all of a sudden you change that little sign that goes up on the bridge, that most of those drivers are probably not going to even notice the change that's on that sign. And so if there's substantial changes on those bridges, that some kind of warning should be posted if you really think it's at risk.
Yeah. And we can do that.
Okay. Well, I don't know what might be done, and I'm not proposing you change anything, but it's just a question that came to my mind because I know if I was accustomed to driving out there with a loaded truck, I probably wouldn't pay any attention to those signs because I've been doing it every day.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
J.P. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good job on getting 3 things. That's nice. I like that. We're talking about all these road problems, and I think about what I want you to do is educate me on how to get information to you when someone's got a complaint about something. I run into a lot of people in my job, and they bring me things, and I hate to just approach you. It's kind of like approaching a doctor and saying, "Hey, doc, my shoulder's hurting." I hate approaching you when we come to these meetings and say, "Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about this?" What's the proper way to let you know?
From you to me?
Mm-hmm. Or from that citizen to me to you, yes.
Yeah, email is great. I mean, you can call me on the telephone. I carry a phone with me all the time. I take calls after hours on a regular basis. So if there's a concern, I'd welcome.
Okay, very good.
And we also have an email complaint site.
Okay. So the citizens can email you directly?
Yes. Well, they can go on the complaint site on the county webpage.
Yeah. And most citizens we see that they use the road app when it's working properly. And then also they'll call into the main shop and make a complaint with the secretary. And they'll make a worksheet that we can pass out to our supervisors so they can attend to those.
Okay. Well, I'll give you an example.
He gets a lot of calls.
You take a lot of calls?
Yeah, I get
Well, good. Well, you're earning your money then. Well, the one that was brought up was White House Bridge?
White House Road.
Is there a bridge on there that's got metal and ridges in it? It was from a bicyclist. And they say that when they go across
those particular bridges have a part
unsafe.
of the bridge is graded, and part of the bridge has concrete on it. And they've been there ever since the road's been there that I'm aware of.
Is there anything to do to help them out on that?
As far as to help
Surface?
out the bicyclers?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure we want to spend our time and money on worrying about a bicycle as much as some of the issues we're having with weight limits going down. So I'd see our money being well spent towards something like that, other than a little crack that's messing up a bicycler. Nothing against bicyclers, but we have bigger issues right now.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure what we could do to improve that anyhow. I mean, it's something that we could look at. Of course, it wouldn't be on top of our priority list.
Right.
as he mentioned, but it is something that, if there is something we could do, I mean, obviously we could.
Sure.
But, I mean, like I said, it's a steel graded bridge with a concrete pad. I mean, there's only so much you can do without replacing a bridge.
Okay. I'll visit with you more about it. Thank you.
I'm going to recognize one more, and then we need to move on. J.P. Harbison, that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, it's still a pass, but I do go out in that area. And, you know, there's just great big grates in those bridges, and, you know, that's just the way the bridge was built.
That's the design of the bridge.
Yes, the design, and some of those have got weight limits on them also, but
Yes, ma'am.
anyway.
Okay.
I want to thank y'all.
Okay.
And I appreciate you coming in, and I think everyone around this horseshoe appreciates your time and you answering their questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow, guys. Next thing we have coming up is committee reports. J.P. Madison, you did not meet.
County Services did not meet for lack of agenda. Thank you.
Public Works, Harvey Bowman.
No, we had a meeting and I hadn't even thought about it. We had a lively discussion about the possible use of GPS devices on county vehicles, and I've done a lot of follow-up on that. Still haven't reached the point to make a recommendation. We talked about the cameras in the break room, and we got a report from Ron Wood about the old courthouse, and that consists of our activities.
Thank you, sir. I would like to say something. I know you've been pursuing this, and while I was at the county judge seminar, I ran into a couple of young men that has, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you which county. There is a county that's using the GPS system now, and I will pursue that. I brought the cards and I gave them to the guys back here, and so that I do know, I don't know what it cost to hook them up. They had 60 cars. But they did say that their fee on that was like $25 a month, kind of like your telephone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I did get that information while I was at the county judge, and I give it to the fellows, and they are going to look into it.
Thank
so
you,
it might be
Judge.
someone else that we can pursue
Okay.
and talk to.
I'd sure like to have that information too, if you
Okay,
don't mind.
talk to these guys. They've got the cards.
Oh, okay,
and
great.
I will
Fantastic.
find out. I will get the county's name that was on
Okay.
from the association.
Okay, I have talked to the sheriff, and I do have a list of all the vehicles in the county, and I've been reviewing that, and we've got about 302 vehicles, if my information is all up to date. The majority of those are, of course, in the road department, the sheriff's department, and I've talked to the sheriff about this some, and I think there's some very good reasons to not include them, and we'll talk about that more as we get down closer to the final presentation, but I think that there's a lot of justifications for it, but I'm still trying to zero in and get all of the appropriate considerations to be included before we move ahead with any recommendation like that.
If you got 300 cars times $25 a month, you're getting into some money. But
Right.
like I say,
It's
I
not-
will be glad to get this information for
Right.
you. Okay?
Well, good.
And I'll give it to these guys, and you can work with them.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next thing we have is ordinance review.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge. It was basically an organizational meeting, and actually we're going to have our first full-blown meeting next Monday.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Personnel, J.P. Pond?
Yes, ma'am. Personnel met February 8th at 5 p.m. at the Washington County courtroom. We had had salary consultant Consultant Blair Johansson report the responsibilities of the Quorum Court's Personnel Committee and JSAP and the benefits and challenges involved in increasing the county's pay structure. We had a request from County Judge Marilyn Edwards to change a heavy equipment operator position, grade 12, to a training officer, one call officer position, grade 17, in the road department budget for 2016. The road superintendent, Charles Ward, stated that the trainer coordinator position involves dealing with new and current employees and executing safety training. He wants the person who fills the position to get certified in a capacity to where he can do all the training for the road department. The new hire will also have to call in one-call locations in order for road maintenance and grading to be performed, as well as other time-consuming things the road department has to accommodate for. The trainer coordinator will also be the one for employees to approach if they had a problem or a safety concern and do not feel comfortable speaking with the department heads about it. That way, he will be able to identify issues before it becomes a problem. A motion was made by Ann Harbison to pass this ordinance to the full quorum court with a do-pass recommendation. The motion was seconded and passed by vote. And, of course, this evening that has been tabled. And we had a request from Sheriff Tim Helder for an exception to the JSAP policy to increase the salary of Captain Stephen Whitmill. And the motion was made by J.P. Ecke to pass this ordinance to the full quorum court with a do-pass recommendation. This motion was seconded and passed. And we thank y'all for passing that one. We had a request from Sheriff Tim Helder for an exception to JSAP policy to increase the salary of Captain Kenneth Yates. And we had a motion made by J.P. Ecke to pass this ordinance to the full quorum court with a do-pass recommendation, and motion was seconded and passed by vote. Thank y'all again. Other business, County Attorney Steve Zaga informed the committee that there was a grievance committee meeting scheduled for Friday, February 12th, and that grievance hearing was called off. Then J.P. Ecke reported that she is working with Human Resources Department to reward county employees for excellent job performance and give them an opportunity to go to the Cargill Company store and purchase goods. The county will not be financing anything, but it is a privilege that the employees can have on behalf of Cargill. She also reported that Cargill has entered into a partnership with Juvenile Courts, the adult education program, where it is agreeing to pay for half the meals provided for the parenting of the Juvenile Detention Center and offering its conference room to do parenting classes. And I want to thank Cargill for their generosity to the county employees. I think they deserve a hand. It's very job well done on J.P. Ecke and with Cargill. And that pretty much concluded what our personnel committee managed. And thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Jail law enforcement, J.P. Lundstrom.
We did meet, Judge. Juvenile Detention Director Jeannie Mack reported that the population count, number of transports, and length of day stay is about the same level as it was at the Juvenile Detention Center. Not much change there. Randall Denzer reported that everything's going smoothly in his department. Prisoners are still being taken to ADC, which is down a little bit, and they are up in out-of-state transports are up. Jay Cantrell reported that the dispatch calls are up considerably, but they dispatch for the county plus 9 smaller police departments within the county. We discussed changing or amending ordinance number 2015-62, creating a certificate incentive program for the Washington County Sheriff's Department. The only change made to this ordinance, which was already passed, was it removes the sheriff from this program, because to receive other compensations, incentive compensation, would make him exceed his pay grade. So they took him off, and basically partially due to his being a kind gentleman, don't want to take any extra money. Sheriff Felder also thanked Ann Harbison for making a suggestion that we try to handle employee pay first thing in the budget in 2016 as we get into the budget process, which I think is a good idea, because if we decide what we're going to do with that before we get the rest of the way, then we're going to have a better idea of what we have to do about the remainder of the budget. But that completes my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next thing we have is number 20, Joe Patterson, an emergency ordinance ratifying a conditional permit.
Thank you, Judge. This is an emergency ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit granted by the Planning Board and the Zoning Board. Steve, would you read it, please?
An emergency ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit granted by the Planning and Zoning Board, whereas the Planning and Zoning Board granted a conditional use permit on February 4th for Hunt Rogers Materials Office, and whereas immediate ratification is necessary by the Quorum Court to prevent undue delay and expense to the applicant, and whereas ratification will not affect any appeal rights any person may have, now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas. Article 1, that the conditional use permit for Hunt Rogers Materials Office granted by the Planning and Zoning Board is hereby ratified. Article 2, emergency clause. It is hereby determined that it is in the public's best interest for this ordinance to be effective immediately, and the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizens are affected by such for the reasons as set out above. Therefore, an emergency is declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be and is effective from the date of its passage.
Thank you. This is just a building that they're building. It's 2,900 square feet to have meetings in and store material in. It's not going to enlarge the footprint of the quarry. It's not going to dig any more gravel. It has nothing to do with that. It's just their facilities. It's been okayed by the Planning Board, and it has an emergency clause to be passed on one reading. And I just make a motion that we approve this.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Courtney, you can go home. Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Ann Harbison?
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom?
Yes.
Eva Madison?
Yes.
Sue Madison? Joel Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry?
Yes.
Joe Patterson?
Yes.
Butch Pond?
Yes.
Bill Essery?
Yes.
Daniel Balls?
Yes.
Harvey Bowman?
Yes.
Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Robert Dennis? Lisa Ecke?
Yes, please.
I'm sure all of you have been by that quarry one time or another in the last 10 years, but if you haven't been there in the last 2 or 3 years, you wouldn't hardly recognize it. It is a big operation, a lot of equipment. There's storage of piles there, mountains of different kinds of fill and everything. It's unbelievable how much has been dug there in the last few years. And everything's working good. You know, we have all the little deals in. We put like the water to drive through so you don't get the dirt on the road and all this kind of stuff. Really, the trees are coming along. A lot of them are alive. There's a few dead ones that we put there a couple years ago. So it's all moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Number 21, J.P. Lundstrom.
Mr. Zaga, would you read this, please?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2015-62, creating a certificate incentive program for the Washington County Sheriff's Office and authorizing payments pursuant to that program. Whereas the Sheriff and the Quorum Court recognize having a professional law enforcement service is critically important to the citizens of Washington County, and whereas the Sheriff and the Quorum Court understand that formal education, training, and certifications that result from that education and training maintain the professionalism of each individual law enforcement officer or deputy, and whereas the Quorum Court passed ordinance number 2015-62, and it has been discovered that there is an internal conflict in that ordinance, making it necessary to amend it, and whereas it is the desire of the Quorum Court to incentivize Washington County Sheriff's deputies to obtain and maintain these professional certifications. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, Article 1, In the event that sufficient revenues exist, in the judgment of the Washington County Sheriff in his or her budget, the Washington County Treasurer is authorized to make additional salary payments from such funds to those employees who have attained law enforcement certification above the basic certificate level as defined by the Arkansas Commission on Law Enforcement Standards and Training, Article 2. It is the intent of this ordinance that such payments shall be optional at the discretion of the sheriff and dependent on sufficient revenues. A1, sheriff's deputies who are employed for at least 1 year with the Washington County Sheriff's Office and holding the following certificates on July 1st of each year shall be eligible for all or a portion of additional salary payments scheduled as follows. A, general certificate or instructor certificate, $300 annually. B, intermediate certificate, $300 annually. C, advanced certificate, $300 annually. D, senior certificate, $300 annually. And field training officer or detention training officer certificate, $300 annually. 2, payment of the funds shall be made during the eligible employee's first period in the month of December, depending on the availability of revenues, and shall be restricted to the following classifications. A, chief deputy sheriff. B, major. C, captain. D, lieutenant. E, sergeant. F, corporal. G, deputy first class. H, fire marshal. I, assistant fire marshal. B, the maximum annual aggregate payment pursuant to this ordinance to any one employee shall be $1,200. C, payments made under this section shall be considered part of the employee's regular income and subject to all applicable withholding required by law. Before Justice Lundstrom goes forward, Scrivener's error, there needs to be a letter A after 2 on that second page. So it would be 2A, payment of the funds. Justice Lundgren, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I apologize for that. I should have caught it before.
Now, this is on the first reading, so we're going to need to suspend if that's what people want to do. Steve has read it. It's just on this, so any discussion?
I would like to, this is a simple ordinance. It's important. The more certificates that these men can earn through advanced training, the more incentive they're able to receive, and I think it's important for our sheriff's department. So I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and advance it to second reading by title only.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2015-62, creating a certificate incentive program for the Washington County Sheriff's Office and authorizing payments pursuant to that program.
I would make a motion to advance this to the third reading by title only.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
An ordinance amending certificate number 2015-62, creating a certificate incentive program for the Washington County Sheriff's Office and authorizing payments pursuant to that program.
I make a motion that we pass 21.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, J.B. Pond.
Is Justice Lundstrom going to be the sponsor of this ordinance? You might look down on at the bottom of the page. Somebody else's name on there. Okay.
I bet you will.
I know that guy.
Yeah, we should change it. You said you weren't supposed to be there.
No.
He just marked through you.
I just scratched him off.
Okay, we need a roll call on this final vote.
Ann Harbison?
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom?
Yes.
Eva Madison?
Yes.
Sue Madison?
Yes.
Joel Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry?
Yes.
Joe Patterson? Yes. Butch Pond?
Yes.
Bill Essery?
Yes.
Daniel Balls? Harvey Bowman?
Yes.
Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Robert Dennis? Lisa Ecke?
This ordinance is passed. Yeah, I like your procedure. Are there any other announcements to be made at this time?
Judge, if I may, not an announcement, but I did invite Mr. Shane Acosta and Ms. Julie Lawrence. Mr. Acosta is the conflicts manager for Cargill, and Ms. Lawrence is the HR manager, who have partnered with Judge Zimmerman and Norma Frisbee's office to speak to the diversion program and their partnership next month at the full quorum court, giving them an opportunity to just share what the community is doing and encourage more inter-community businesses to work with the county that way. So
Thank
I
you.
just want to let you know that. Thank
And
you.
I have an announcement I want to make. J.P. Bowman and I have been working very, very close together the last couple of days about the cameras. Due to his working with me and me working with him, I will be removing the cameras in the break room along audio and video. So I just want him, and I wanted everyone, because he and I have been working together, and it will be removed.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you. J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I appreciate that. And just sort of as an extra step, I'd like to know if video or audio recording equipment was installed anywhere else on county property.
Not to my knowledge. Like I say, now,
Do you
I don't
want to check and make sure?
I don't do all of that. I know that there are audio. No, I don't know about audio. I know there's video all over the courthouse.
I'm not talking about the security. I'm talking done through the county judge's office.
That's the only place that I am aware of.
Were there any other audio or video recording devices purchased other than the ones that were the two in the break room?
We have two that's still left packed in boxes, and nothing's been done with them.
Two what?
Two cameras. But they're still packed in boxes. So
There's two more cameras that look like smoke detectors.
I don't know what they look like. I know they are different than those, but I know that they were ordered, and I've not put anything else up except those two.
So we have a total of 4 video cameras that were ordered, 2 were installed, and of those 4, only 2 have audio.
Yeah, is that correct?
Judge, here's my understanding. My understanding is that there was one that looks like the one that's in the break room now, and the other 3 were actually purchased for this room to be part of the regular, to record y'all during meetings, and they have audio capability for that reason.
For public meetings?
Yes, that's my understanding. Now,
I thought there were 2 in the break room.
I'm only aware of one.
I'm only aware of one.
There's 2 smoke detectors that look like they're in there.
I could be mistaken about that. I'm aware of one.
If there is 2, they will both come down, but I will find out from IT, and they'll be gone.
Having said that, the ones that you inquired about beyond that, Justice Madison, are in boxes still, and I understand they were not purchased from the same company, and they were purchased for the purpose of this room for public meetings.
Okay. Well, since it sounds like the ones purchased for this break room never worked satisfactorily, can we send them back and get our money back?
I will have to let IT see what they can do with that, because they're the ones that ordered them. Because we never did any video, no cameras, no pictures, or anything. But I just wanted to let you guys know that tonight, because Harvey and I have worked very close together, and we've come to the conclusion, and they will be disconnected.
Okay, so we had at most 4 video and 2 audio, and they're no longer functioning.
I only know about 2, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Harvey. Citizens' comments. Mr. Braswell, come forward and identify yourself and comment.
I'm George Braswell. Judge, you're my boss. Thank you. And justices, I have one short comment, one question. Thank you for the vote on that safety officer. We do need safety. You did make a good vote to keep the egg off your face. I can assure you with what evidence I received last night, you needed a little more time to investigate. Now my question. I don't remember who asked the question about the vehicles being purchased at the road department. Justice Madison. Would dump trucks be included in vehicles? No, I think so.
Now, we can't talk back and forth. You can comment, and you can ask questions, but you can
I'm
make a
sorry.
comment.
Okay.
You can make your comments, because we cannot discuss back and forth.
Okay. There was a pickup and a dump truck both purchased in December of 2015.
Didn't they say this year? This is I don't know.
2016.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Any other citizens' comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor say aye. Post same sign. We are adjourned.